your address.
Jim Quinn, 15 Cohen Place. My question is for Mr. Schmidt. Mr. Schmidt, can you explain to me why in all your literature you claim to be a taxpayer watchdog, yet you filed a frivolous lawsuit regarding the Organon property against the township to advance your own political aspirations, which was ultimately dismissed and cost the taxpayers thousands of dollars?
I'll be more than happy to answer that, Jim. It's a great question. Obviously, you've never read the decision. I reread the decision coming into this meeting tonight. The judge who essentially adjudicated that case made it very clear that he did not believe or did not commit to the fact that the Organon property was in the best interest of the township. He never used the word frivolous. What he did say was the settlement was essentially moot. The case was moot because we had gotten what we wanted. If you recall, what the township wanted to do was to turn the Organon property into residential zoning, to build 250 new condos. Because of our lawsuit, the town changed its position. It zoned the property back to commercial only, and also they removed it from the redevelopment zone. So by the time we got to the judge, we had essentially gotten and won the case. The other point of that is if you go up to Organon now, everybody knows what Organon is by Essex Green. There are 2 beautiful new healthcare facilities up there, paying taxes, no kids in the school. And if it wasn't for my efforts and Kevin Malango, who's in line down there, you would have 250 more condos generating costs, kids to the school, need for police and fire. I'm thrilled that we had a successful case. I'm very proud.
Thank you very much. Next question.
Hi, Mark Levy, 344 Aranio Drive, here in West Orange. My question is for...
Mark, pick the mic up, please.
I'm sorry, your question is directed to whom?
My question is directed to John Schmidt.
Thank you.
John, for 10 years, your literature says, and we all know, you've fancied yourself as the taxpayer's watchdog. One thing for sure is that you've never been shy about asking for specifics and details from the council, from the mayor, from the Board of Ed. But I find that your campaign literature and the speeches that I've heard so far to be very light on specifics. Specifically, can you tell us what kind of programs, what kind of departments, what you will be looking to cut should you become mayor, and tell us what will that save the average taxpayer? How much money can we save if you became mayor?
Thank you, Mark. Mark was one of the first people I met when I moved into Eagle Ridge in 1985, so we go back a long way. The budget that is now has a 6% increase in it. The budget that's currently on the table, if I'm elected, will be 0. And the way we'll do it, Mark, is I will sit down with every department head and look at where their budgets were last year, look at where their prospective budgets are, and essentially give them a number which comes to a 0% increase. The specifics will be from the department heads. I am not a police officer. I am not a fireman. I don't work at the library. I know nothing about the Department of Public Works. I will tell them what the number is. This is how much money you have to spend. You have $50 million to spend. Come back to me with some ideas about how you'll implement this and what the implications are in terms of services. I will then look at their budget, all of the other budgets, and see if any of this makes sense, move money from one place to the other. But it will be the department heads who will determine where the cuts come from. That's not my job. We have very, very highly compensated professional people who run these departments. But in the end, it will be 0. Thank you.
Warren Fuller, 2 Shelby Terrace. There's an adage that politicians will say anything to get elected. This question is directed to Mr. Schmidt.
Gotta get closer to the mic.
So there's an adage that politicians will say anything to get elected, and this question is directed to Mr. Schmidt. I have been active in the community for the last 15 years during the systemic complaints that you referenced earlier. Last night I heard you say at the council chambers that there were over 1,800 homes in foreclosure. As is way too often true, that is untrue. I checked with the county today, and I found the answer to be 36. My question, at 75 in 2009, 36 in 2010, a number sold making 36 active.
Excuse me, what is your question, sir?
My question is, why would somebody be comfortable in voting after a track record of disseminating inaccurate information, including last night, 1,800
Excuse
homes
me,
in
sir.
foreclosure?
Okay. Well, well, that's fair. Warren, where I got that from is something called Realty Track, and the criteria that we use, I have it here, is homes either in foreclosure or other various stages of foreclosure. That's the number that popped up. The other number that I got and I cited last night was from a company called Trulia, which is also a real estate site. They indicate there are 431 homes for sale in West Orange. That's more than any town in the county, including Newark, which is a substantially larger community. The point is that the town is in crisis, that people are leaving, they want to get out. And as Rob hears this too, as we walk around town, people say, John, the only reason I'm still here is I can't sell my house. That's a problem. That's a problem. And we've got to change the mentality here in West Orange so that people know there's somebody in the municipal government who gets it. And I will get it.
Thank you.
Yeah, Linda, that will no longer be a problem in a Schmidt administration. I will present to the council the same resolution that I presented 2 years ago that was offhandedly dismissed, which will give us the strongest anti-pay-to-play regulation in the state of New Jersey. I will commit to that. I promise that will happen within days of my election. Pay-to-play is a cancer in New Jersey. 68 communities, according to the Star-Ledger, have already put in place very, very tough pay-to-play laws. We'll be the 69.
Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. Sorry, we're now going to move to
Reads from Rodolfo Rodriguez, 22 Ashwood Terrace. Rodolfo, you're here in the back?
Just went out.
Okay. It reads, with a defeated school budget, which side are you on? The taxpayers or the teachers' union? That's an interesting question. John, you have the floor here on this one.
The voters have spoken, and they've spoken decisively. And I pointed out earlier, if we had November elections, I think it would have even been more decisively when the turnout would have been higher. So I think the council has a duty to take seriously what the voters have said. And I think the council has a real responsibility to make very, very meaningful changes in the way the schools do business. And that's really what it comes down to. The council has to sit down with the Board of Education and the superintendent and say, the people don't want to spend this much money anymore. And you have to figure out a way to give the quality product, the quality education, and start cutting the fat. So I think we must make meaningful cuts to that budget. I do not think the township can afford another major tax increase at this time in our history.
The truth is, there's no doubt this is a serious issue, but there's a lot of serious issues that go before the council, and it's never a question of sides. I mean, you try to be as objective as you can as a local leader, especially when it's local government. Whether it's a school issue or a program issue, we all have a stake in it. I got kids in our school system, so to say that I don't have a bias about the education they're getting is wrong. We all bring a part of our personality to the job. But also a part of the responsibility is to be as objective as you can when looking at all facts. It's not a question of choosing sides. It's never a question of choosing sides, whether it's a police issue or any issue that has to do with what we do here in governing. It's a question of being objective and doing what you think is best for the community and making a decision based on the evidence before you that you're comfortable with and that you can live with and that you think you did the right things for. So this isn't an issue of choosing sides between the voters and the school union. The voters voted down the budget, and now the council has a responsibility to be diligent as we can and look